The story begins with a family of 5 gathered outside a motel, holding a tense meeting. Right away, it's clear their conversation is full of disbelief and a sense of betrayal. Eventually, they head back to their room for the night while the father chooses to sleep outside. The next morning, his wife calls a new acquaintance, a travel agent, who offers to fly the family home. Once they board the private jet, the truth comes out. The agent is actually the husband's ex-girlfriend. Furious that he left her and built a new life, she kidnaps the family and hands them over to her boss. So what exactly has this family gotten themselves into? Welcome to Sandy's Timeline. Today, we're breaking down the action comedy A Family Plan. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps like this. Let's jump back a few days before the ordeal. We're introduced to Dan Morgan, a successful car salesman living a quiet life in the Buffalo suburbs with his wife, Jessica, and their 3 kids, teens Nina and Kyle, and baby Max. Dan is perfectly happy with his low-profile routine. He avoids violence, isn't a fan of technology, and does everything he can to stay off social media. Jessica, on the other hand, craves more spontaneity and excitement. From the start, we see Dan worrying about his kids' social lives. Kyle struggles to make friends, and Nina is fixated on attending a certain college solely because of a boy named Trevor. All in all, they come across as a completely ordinary family. For their anniversary, Dan and Jessica head to their usual spot, an amusement park. It's a tradition they repeat every year because it's where they had their very first date. Even though the memory is special, Jessica hints that maybe they should try something different next year. During their date, someone snaps a selfie with Dan and Jessica kissing in the background and posts it online as a joke. Dan politely confronts the guy and asks him to delete the photo, but the guy mocks him and even dumps a drink on his head to embarrass him. Although the moment clearly crosses a line, Dan keeps his cool and walks away instead of starting a fight. Unfortunately, the incident puts a damper on their night. A few days later, while Dan is out shopping with baby Max, he notices a man appearing everywhere he turns. Without much warning, the man attacks him, revealing that he's not just some random stranger, but a trained professional. Dan, surprisingly skilled himself, manages to stop the attacker and get away safely. Shaken, Dan rushes home and retrieves a hidden emergency bag filled with cash, weapons, and passports for the whole family. When he discovers that all the passports have expired, he contacts an old associate named Augie to ask why this is happening. Augie warns him that it's probably the work of Dan's former employer, McCaffrey, and strongly advises him to disappear. Realizing the photo from the amusement park exposed his identity, Dan arranges for new fake passports for his family, costing him $500,000. He and Augie agree to meet in Vegas within the next 3 days as part of the escape plan. Dan quickly packs clothes for the whole family and heads out to pick up Nina and Kyle from school. He first learns that Nina quit the journalism club, where she had been an editor 3 months earlier, despite how hard she worked to get there. When Dan tries to track down Kyle, who he believes is supposed to be at chess club, Nina tells him that Kyle isn't in chess at all. She directs Dan to the house of Kyle's best friend, Samir. There, Dan discovers that Kyle has been paying Samir to use his garage as a secret gaming setup. Kyle is actually a popular online streamer known as Kyle Boy. Realizing he's been in the dark about both of his kids' life, Dan gathers them and drives to Jessica's workplace, telling the whole family they're heading out on a spontaneous road trip to Las Vegas. As they begin their road trip, Dan notices a black SUV following them. It becomes clear that the people tracking them always know exactly where they are. Dan quickly realizes their minivan must have a tracker on it. He drives to his workplace and uses a service bay to look underneath the vehicle, eventually finding and removing the device. He then attaches the tracker to a coworker's car, causing the goons to chase after the wrong vehicle and giving the family a chance to slip away. To keep everyone off social media and to avoid leaving a digital trail, Dan collects all their phones and declares the trip completely phone-free. He tosses the devices off a bridge so they can't be used to track them. Meanwhile, McCaffrey and his team search the Morgans' home, but they can't figure out where the family went thanks to Dan's careful planning. Dan drives through the night until they reach Iowa City. Nina becomes excited when she realizes they're near Southern Iowa University. She wants to tour it because her boyfriend Trevor goes there, even though her original dream was to attend Stanford. When she discovers Trevor cheating, Dan comforts her and shows her a simple self-defense move so she can stand up for herself. During the campus tour, another one of McCaffrey's agents tries to ambush Dan in a chemistry lab. Dan manages to stop him and quickly returns to his family before they notice anything. As the trip continues, the family starts bonding more than they have in a long time. When they finally reach Las Vegas, Dan plans to tell Jessica the truth over a romantic dinner. He leaves Nina and Kyle in charge of Max and tells them to stay in their penthouse suite, but instead, the teens sneak off to the HyperX gaming arena in the hotel. When Dan and Jessica return to check on them, McCaffrey's team attacks. Dan manages to stop the attackers, leaving Jessica completely stunned. They rush to the gaming arena to retrieve the kids, where another fight breaks out, and for the first time, the whole family sees Dan defending them at a level they never expected. This brings us back to the opening scene, the family gathered outside, having a tense, emotional conversation. Dan finally reveals the truth. His real name is Sean. He served in the military with Delta Force before being recruited by McCaffrey to work as an assassin targeting dangerous criminals around the world. He explains that he completed 26 missions and took out 42 targets. Kyle calls out the irony of Dan criticizing gaming violence when he lived a life full of real danger. Dan then hands over new identities and tells them their life in Buffalo is gone. But Jessica refuses to go with him. She takes the kids and insists that the only reason they're being hunted is because of his past, so the safest choice is to leave him behind. Believing they're no longer in danger, Jessica calls Gwen, a new acquaintance she met in a boxing class, who claimed to be a travel agent to help fly them home. Once they're on the private jet, Gwen reveals her true identity. She's Dan's ex-girlfriend, furious that he left her to start a family. She hands Jessica and the kids over to McCaffrey, who takes them hostage in an abandoned hotel. McCaffrey contacts Dan, now revealed as Sean, and orders him to come retrieve his kidnapped family. When they finally meet, McCaffrey reveals a shocking truth. He is actually Dan's father. He threatens to harm Jessica and the kids unless Dan agrees to rejoin his operation and cut ties with his family forever. Feeling trapped, Dan agrees, and McCaffrey prepares to send Jessica and the kids home. However, Jessica manages to overpower their escort and helps the kids escape. Instead of running to safety, they choose to return for Dan. McCaffrey responds by sending his entire team into the hotel to eliminate Dan. Dan fights through the mercenaries while Kyle helps remotely using a drone. Meanwhile, Jessica ends up in a showdown with Gwen. Drawing on her track and field background, Jessica fatally impales Gwen with a piece of broken bamboo, defeating Gwen, and gets back to her family. They head downstairs just as McCaffrey confronts Dan. Nina distracts McCaffrey long enough for Dan to stop him. McCaffrey is then taken into custody, and Dan reunites with his family for good. The Morgans eventually return to their normal lives in Buffalo. Dan starts a security firm to help people protect themselves, while Jessica becomes a high school track and field coach. In the final moments, the family loads up a rented RV to start a cross-country trip to take Nina to Stanford, beginning their new chapter together. Dan, or should we say Sean, proves that even in the most dangerous situations, family always comes first. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another breakdown of your favorite action-packed movies. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Sandy's Timeline.